All right, so what is Sync on Set Asset Hub? Sync on Set Asset Hub is the first digital system designed for studios to track and manage their physical assets. No longer will you have to work with your assets on paper ledgers or Excel spreadsheets. Now you can do it all in Asset Hub. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, let's go over the new layout recently released in Asset Hub 4.0. If you're familiar with Asset Hub, you will notice that the navigation bar is now at the top of the page. You will use the navigation bar throughout Asset Hub, no matter if you are in a franchise, if you're in a series, if you're in divisions. That will kind of be your go-to navigation bar to navigate throughout whatever project or division that you are in. Go ahead and click on a couple of these to show you those. You'll also notice as we scroll through or as we click through each of the top navigation bar, the background turns a light gray color. That's also a new feature, and it's a good indicator of what page you are currently on. And again, you will see that throughout Asset Hub today. If your studio also has request enabled, you are now also able to see a notification counter on the request tab. And you'll see that with this little number 1 here, and request will be orange. So you know that you have some requests within our request feature. As we click each of the tabs, again, background color will turn to a light blue. So I'm going to come back over here and click on our franchises tab. So you might have a question on what's the difference between franchises, series, and divisions. So franchises is the features that are going to be in Asset Hub. Series is for television, and divisions are at the studio level, and they are the archives and things like that that collect your assets after you use Asset Hub on your project. Now let's go ahead and click into our untitled project here, and this will be one of our features. So within the project, you will see a change of options on this top navigation bar. So instead of seeing those studio level top navigation areas, you will now see something within the project. So you'll see assets, transactions, team, etc. And we'll go through a few of these today. Additional changes within the project include a collapsible filters menu, and we can see that by this little arrow in the upper left-hand corner, and we'll click on that. And this allows you to select the project or department that you want to view on this page. So say, for example, if you are on a television show and you have multiple seasons, then this top area here, you can select what season you actually want to view on the asset page or on the transactions page, which we'll go to in just a moment. If you are a franchise or series owner, which just means that you have access to multiple departments, usually that's a production coordinator or an accountant, and you see a ton of departments on your page, and you want to limit it down to just 1 or 2, then you can click on these little filters over here and kind of narrow down your search. And we'll go through your search options and things like that throughout our demo today. Let's go ahead and collapse this again. So another thing that you'll notice is our selection boxes have moved from the right side of the page to the left side of the page. If you've been in Asset Hub before, that was a huge feature request that was asked of us, and we want to make it consistent with those of you that may be using Sync on Set crew tools as well. So we hope that helps with your muscle memory. We also had a single bulk options box, and we have now split that into multiple bulk buttons. And that it was done to make it even easier to add or update, move, merge, request, or bulk reconcile your assets. In order to activate these boxes, which you'll see are currently gray, you'll just come over here to the left-hand side, and you'll just select a couple of these assets, and then you'll be able to use those bulk buttons. All right, so what is the asset page? So let's go ahead and talk about this page that we are currently on. When you first click into your project, so when we clicked on our untitled project, the default page it will take you to is the asset page. So you can see that by this asset tab up here on the top navigation bar. If we scroll up a little bit, you can also see the name of your project with the word assets behind it. So that is your indicator that you're currently on the assets page. An update on this asset page also is that if you export your inventory from Crew Tools to Asset Hub, you will also see a new notification counter next to For Review on the secondary navigation bar. So again, if you have anything that comes over from Crew Tools to Asset Hub, you'll see a little number indicator here, similar to how we had that on the request feature on the previous page at the studio level. We're going to come back to this page later on in our demo today. So next, what we want to do is click on our Transactions tab up here in this top navigation bar. So you'll notice here as well that we also have this counter. So that's going to be, again, kind of, you'll see it throughout Asset Hub today. Again, the request, you'll see it on that For Review tab, and then also on the Transactions tab. So anytime there are assets for you to reconcile, the transactions word will be orange, and then you will see that notification counter of outstanding transactions. You will also notice that the transactions page is now orange compared to the blue of the assets page. This is another new visual update that will help you easily differentiate the assets and the transactions pages as you navigate throughout Asset Hub. So what is the transactions page and how is it different from the assets page? So the transactions page is your to-do list. So the assets are imported in from a spreadsheet that we receive from your accounting department, and you will reconcile your assets from this list. So when you first log in, if this is your first time in Asset Hub, you're going to go straight to that transactions page, and your assets page will currently be blank. So we don't want you to get nervous that there's nothing in Asset Hub for you to do. You'll just go ahead and click on the transaction tab in this top navigation bar, and I'll show you how to go through that today. So in order to customize the transaction page, you can click on this Choose Columns box over here on the right-hand side. And when we hover over it, you can see what that box is for. So let's go ahead and click Choose Columns. And say we want to remove the character column here. We can type in character and deselect that column. And say we want to add in an additional column. So let's type in invoice number, and we will select the invoice number column. This is customizable for everybody, so you can just make this page however is the best way for you to work with it. You can also drag the columns around. You can make the columns larger, or you can shrink them in size. And you can also sort or filter by all of these search bars that you see up here in each of the column headers. We also have a main search bar on this left area as well in this main transaction page. So let's go ahead and add in some filters. So say, for example, we just want to see the set deck department today. I'm going to click on the search box, and I'm going to type in set deck. So we can narrow our search down to set deck. And just to let you guys know, if you are added in as just a department user, and say, for example, in this case, you're in SetDeck, you won't have to narrow down your department search to just your department because you will only have access to your own department. Being able to search down the departments is mainly for those franchise and series owners that I talked about, the production coordinators and accountants and things like that. So this might not apply to you, but just want to go through all your options today. So we selected SetDeck here. So now the transactions that we see on this transaction page will only be set deck items. Say, for example, we want to go under vendor and we only want to see transactions that have a specific vendor name. So I'm going to type in Ed here and hit enter on my keyboard. And now we'll only see any of the transactions under vendor that actually have the word Ed in it, or it looks like a couple characters here. One more way to filter, let's go down to asset name. And say we are within SetDeck, we're only seeing our Ed Sullivan vendor, and maybe we just want to see items that are wood. Let's go ahead and type in wood. And again, hit enter on our keyboard. So this will go ahead and limit down your list based on all of the filters in each of these columns. Let's go ahead and erase wood under asset name really quickly. And I also want to search it within this search bar. So the difference between each of our filters from the column level to this main search bar is the column level will only search within each of those individual columns. So the set deck department here, the vendor for Ed. But if you want to search something throughout the entire transaction page, you can use this main search bar. So let's go ahead and type in wood in our search bar here. We'll click enter, or you can click on the search button. And once again, it looks like the same list because wood is not located in any of the other column fields, but you'll be able to narrow down your search that way as well. In order to clear all of the filters on this page, which the filters will be the column headers here, we're going to come over here to this right-hand side, and we're going to click on Clear Filters. So this will only clear any of the fields that you have populated within the column level. It will not clear that main search bar. So let's go ahead and click on Clear Filters. So it'll clear that set deck department, and it'll clear the vendor here. If we want to clear the main search bar, just go ahead and double click. You'll hit backspace or delete on your keyboard. And once again, it'll refresh that page to the first view that we saw before we started using those filters. Another thing that you can do is limit down how many transactions you're seeing on this page. So default is 50. Maybe that's a little bit too much to look at for you. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. And we'll go ahead and click on 50 here. And then click on 10 to limit down our view today. One last thing before we start reconciling an asset is you can also sort by each of these little columns, each of the little arrows here, I'm sorry, above each of the columns. So say, for example, you want to go to cost field and you only want to see the numbers from ascending to descending or vice versa. Let's go ahead and click on the little arrow here. And it'll take you from that lowest to highest number. If we click it again, it'll show you highest to lowest. All right, so how do we reconcile an asset? Let's go ahead and I want to search for a Jeep here that I know I have as a transaction and hit enter on my keyboard. And it'll pull up all of the Jeeps that I have here. In order to reconcile one of these transactions, you're going to click anywhere on the transaction row, and it'll pop up into this larger window for you and give you some additional options. So one thing you'll notice over here on the right-hand side is that the Save button is currently gray. So that means when you're reconciling your transaction, there's some kind of required field that has to be completed before you're able to save this transaction as an asset. So let's look over here under disposition. So disposition has this little asterisk here, and any fields that have that asterisk will be the indicator that that is a required field for you to complete. So let's go ahead and click on disposition today, and it'll give you a drop-down list of all of your available options to choose for that disposition. And what we mean by disposition is essentially just a status of that item. So say it's going to storage, maybe it's in use, maybe it was destroyed during filming, then you can choose whatever is applicable to this item. For today, let's go ahead and click on storage or search for storage and click on storage. And you can now see that the save button is blue, which indicates that you are now able to save this transaction as an asset. Let's go ahead and complete a little bit more information before we save this. So in description, I just want to say this is a red Jeep. Maybe we have a few different Jeeps on set. And you can also add a photo from your computer by clicking on the plus photo button. And let's go ahead and select our Jeep here. And next, we'll go ahead and click Save. So you'll notice when you click Save that one of our Jeeps here has disappeared from the transaction page, and you'll get a green pop-up notification down here saying that that one asset has been created. Let's go ahead and click on OK. All right, so next we're going to go back to the top navigation bar, and we're going to click on Assets. So come back to our Assets tab, and again, you can kind of see that turns like a lighter blue-gray color, indicating we are back on the Assets page. So here you can see, let's go ahead and clear all our filters here. Here you can see the asset that we have just created, that red Jeep. So from this page, you can do similar things like you did on the transactions page. We have our choose columns box over here, as well as those bulk buttons that we went through a little bit earlier. So in order to add additional information to this asset, or maybe you want to modify something or add additional photos, what you're going to do is click anywhere on the line of this asset. So we'll click on our Jeep today. And it'll pop up into this larger asset detail page. you can see the page that we're currently on by this asset details underline area that is on this secondary navigation bar. From here, say for example, you want to add additional photos. If you hover over the current photo, you can see this little camera bubble, and we'll click on choose, and it'll pop open your computer documents again, and you can upload additional photos if you would like. If you need to edit or modify any of the information on this, or just add any additional information that you want to describe this item, we'll come up here to the upper right-hand corner, and we're going to click on this orange pencil icon. And this will pop up into a larger window for you. You can see an additional number of fields. So if we scroll down here, just so you can see some of the options, you're able to complete however much information on this page that you would like. And when you are done, go ahead and just click Save, the blue button at the bottom of this page. All right, so next up, let's go ahead and go through our secondary navigation bar. So again, currently we're on the Asset Details page. So let's go ahead and click on the Asset History tab. So the Asset History tab just shows you all of the added or modified information regarding this asset. Next, if we go to Location History tab, this shows you the project that the asset was created in, and then all of the places that it has been located. Next, we have our Attachments tab. So say, for example, we want to upload maybe a vehicle title for this Jeep or an Exhibit A. We can click on Attachment here. And once again, I showed you how to click on the choose box, but you can actually do a drag and drop as well. So let's do that really quick. So let's upload an Exhibit A here. We can see that. And then click on Upload. Last but not least, we have our transaction data page. So the transaction data page is all of that information that came over from that accounting spreadsheet, and it cannot be edited. So if the studio is coming in after you guys are wrapped, or if accounting is looking to see what the status was of this particular item, they're able to see the same information that they have in their system with all of the information that you guys have added into that asset. All right, so let's go back to the main asset tab here, once again in our top navigation bar. And we'll click on assets. I'm going to click confirm the asset's been updated. So this is my favorite feature that I always like to point out. So a shortcut to editing or adding additional information on any of the assets from this main asset page is to hold down the shift key on your keyboard, and then you can click on the field that you want to modify. So say, for example, this red Jeep description, maybe I made a mistake and this is actually the blue Jeep. On your keyboard, you're going to once again hold down your shift key, and then you're going to click on description, and it'll pop up into this little window for you. So I'm going to type in blue Jeep, hit enter on my keyboard, and it'll update that description or any of the fields from this page. Let's go ahead and go through that one more time. We're going to come up here and click on our choose columns box. And say, for example, you guys want to add an asset number. Let's go ahead and click on asset number here, and it'll add that additional column in here. And then once again, we are going to hold down shift and click in that empty space. We'll type in our asset number and click enter on our keyboard. So that'll give you, quite a few shortcuts to modify a lot of information from this asset page instead of having to go into each individual asset and click on that orange pencil icon. It's all completely up to you, whatever is the easiest for your workflow. Finally, if you ever need to navigate back out to the main menus, you can click on the arrow up here all the way on the left-hand side of our top navigation bar. And then you can see and select the menu you want to access. So the options on this selection, once again, are based on your permissions. So you may not see all of the options shown on this webinar today. Last but not least, we have this blue chat bubble down here in the bottom right-hand corner, and that is direct access to our support team. You can reach them by email at support@synconset.com as well. And they are available 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday. Again, if you have any additional questions, this is our live support team.